Chapter 13 in our textbook talks about evaluation and how to evaluate a speech and why it's good and bad. So, first thing it talks about is that there's two types of evaluations, basically oral and written evaluations. Nothing too important in this part of the chapter, it's just giving kind of a broad overview. And then it talks about how evaluation is actually a good thing. A lot of people, I think, tend to believe evaluation is bad. It's very critical, and they're very nervous about getting evaluated when giving a speech because they feel like they're just going to pound on all the negative aspects of their speech. Excuse me, but evaluation is actually very important in a speech and can help you a lot because, for one, it teaches you critical thinking skills. So if you yourself are doing the evaluation, you look at someone else's speech and you say, okay, here's what they did really well, here's what they did really badly. Maybe they presented really clearly and articulated really well, but the message wasn't that clear. They didn't stay on topic that well. Or maybe it's vice versa. They stayed on topic really well, but their presentation wasn't that good, so the message got across, but the way they got it across wasn't that great. And the important part about this is when you do this to other people's speeches and your speech, you tend to start figuring out the tendencies and the habits that you need to install into your speaking mechanics, and that'll help your speeches elevate to like a next level and basically be better at it. It builds confidence. So obviously habitual repetition and stuff like that helps you build confidence. You know, when you repeat something over and over again and make it a habit, you're going to be more confident in doing it. So when you evaluate someone else's speech or your speech, you start building these habits because you start seeing what's good and bad. So maybe I'm watching someone's speech and I see that they're really nailing on these 3 or 4 key aspects of a speech, but not another couple keys or another couple aspects of their speech are really bad. So that's going to help me build that confidence when I'm doing it and saying, okay, I've already seen what's good and what's bad and how to do it multiple times, so I'm more confident myself that I'm able to already know what to do. It makes you a better communicator for sure, because when you have to evaluate other people's speeches, you have to communicate this over to them. You have to be able to clearly explain to them what they did really well and what they did really poorly. And then the two main things you should focus on when evaluating a speech are the message and the presentation. I think this is pretty intuitive, and I like how they worded it in the book because it's true. The two biggest parts of a speech are what are you trying to get across and how are you getting it across, or the message and the presentation. So I think we've all seen presentations where maybe the message is a really good one to make, but it's just very dull and boring. I mean, look at any boring professor you have in a class that you're particularly interested in. The message they're teaching might be really interesting to you, but if their presentation of it is really boring, it's not going to stick with you that well, and vice versa. I've had professors who are really fun, really animated, really energetic, but they're just not the best teachers in the world, and that's the same with public speaking. You got to make sure you nail both the message and the presentation, so not only does a message stick with them, but it sticks with them in a way that they're going to remember it, and they're excited to listen to it, and they're attentive the entire time.